Today on V8 Extra, we wrap up the spectacular Cycrogen Townsville 400. North Queenslanders came out in force and witnessed some incredible racing. Aaron Noonan follows up with all the newsmakers for their post-race point of view. And Mark Larkham takes us behind the scenes with a backstage pass into a pristine engine shop for a look at V8 supercar engine servicing. That's all ahead on V8 Extra.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome again to V8 Extra. Great to have your company today. Well, last weekend we were up in Townsville seeking the sunshine, our fourth visit to North Queensland. What a fantastic event. We were escaping the winter cold down south. We got a great warm welcome from the North Queenslanders and it was a fantastic outing for Jamie Whincup. In fact, the Sun has been very kind to J-Dub in the Northern Territory and in Queensland, extending his championship lead, a clean sweep last weekend. If you missed all the action, here it is.
And Reynolds has got a great start against Mark Winterbottom.
Oh, and in the fence is Dean Fiore. So this is cheeky.
As we take a look at Steve Owen, he's about to get the race lead.
So change of position there.
He'd be smelling it by about now, I reckon.
You could even see, oh, Lowndes has struggled to pull it up, but oh, that was a bit ugly actually. Locked the front right, took about 3 kilometres.
And here's a big one for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Steve Owen has not let him go. And he's run wide.
Dub locked up and whack.
That's right. And Lowndes is going to be affected because he's going to have to stack. It's 20th.
Oh, gee, that was big. 0.8 seconds. The best way to keep the championship lead is to win races. David Reynolds, for the first time in his career, starts from pole position.
Oh, there's trouble in the background here. Nicely done. Courtney able to do this pretty easily as well. So cost him a spot. Coulthard was being cheeky. Oh, yeah, it's hit the pit limiter. Yeah, it's limited itself to 40k.
Oh, charging back as Whincup gets on the inside of Davison.
This will be very, very tight. Jamie sidesteps him. Watch for Craig. Oh! He just about drills the thing. This will be close between the Vodafone blokes as well.
Lockwood Entry has shut down. Down here on the inside of turn 2. Neck and neck, Whincup gets it back. Our championship leader stays out in front and becomes the first man to clean sweep a Townsville weekend.
It was certainly a wild and intense racing weekend. Let's have a look at the championship scenario. Jamie came into the round with a 38-point margin. He left with 100 points, as you can see from Mark Winterbottom, then Will Davison, Craig Lowndes, 3 of the SBR cars in the top 10. And how about Davey Reynolds? Nice job on the Sunday pole and then getting good solid points. He's now crept inside the top 10. Bit of a stink, of course, many of you raising the question with us during the past week. What happened with Whincup and the wheel spin? The stewards reviewed this incident. The practice of spinning wheels during pit stops was outlawed earlier in the year. We thought J-Dub may have contravened this. The stewards reviewed it. Investigation revealed that the wheels started spinning immediately after the air jack coupling had been removed. Therefore, the lowering process had begun and accordingly no breach. What about the battle on Sunday though between the teammates, Team Vodafone and Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes? It was extraordinary. That battle was one of the most intense battles that I've ever seen, and make no mistake, those cars are painted the same, but both those guys are fighting for the high ground at Team Vodafone. It was only a tiny mistake by Craig that allowed Jamie to get through. That was one of the best encounters that we've ever seen. Now, there was another stink also in race number 15 between Fabian Coulthard and Rick Kelly down at turn number 2. We sent Aaron Noonan to round up all of the information and news at the end of the day, and here's what the boys had to say.
Rick Kelly and Fabian Coulthard are going to get close.
See, that there, Coulthard was being cheeky and running him out towards the point of the fence. So there's plenty of room there.
It's strange,
you don't need to do that.
Rick, talk me through the contact and how that unfolded with Fabian. You were pretty heated about it on the radio.
You always get a little bit heated on the radio. Unfortunately, my car's not 2 foot wide, and on the exit we just didn't have quite enough room between the wall and him, and I had to pick between rubbing against him or rubbing against the wall. And with the wall being stationary, I had to move across to avoid hitting it, and unfortunately the contact obviously damaged the wheel and tyre, which is not normally the case. So disappointing with the pace we had. You know, we'll sort it out eventually, but like I say, the car's not 2 foot wide and needs just a little bit more room than that.
Fabian, your take on the incident with Rick? He was pretty angry, thought you squeezed him to the wall.
It's always going to be my fault, isn't it? It's hard to be perfect. But look, you know, he'd pitted on lap 12. There was no way, you know, he was really in the race. He was banking pretty heavily on a safety car, and I got clearly down the outside of him into one. He overshot, outbraked himself. I was pretty much passed, and he's decided to turn into me. So I was pretty much a innocent bystander, and I came off worse.
Did you get to talk to him post-race?
I'm waiting for him to come down.
Imagine that, two drivers with a different point of view, Fabian Coulthard and Rick Kelly, after their incident, race number 15. Well, we've officially passed the halfway mark of the championship, and what's going on out there at the moment is guys are fighting for game-changing moments in this championship battle. When we come back, we'll have a look at some of those moves from Townsville last weekend. Stay with us.
More than 160 Grand Prix starts. 3 years with Williams, 5 years with BAR, some starts with Renault and Sauber in Formula One, runner-up at Le Mans, Indy 500 champion, IndyCar champion. It's not a bad CV, is it? Seriously, one of the most accomplished drivers we've ever seen, and certainly very good to have him in these cars.
Jacques Villeneuve there at the helm of the Pepsi Max Holden. Great to have him in the cars last weekend. Former world champion, 1997, IndyCar champion, Indy 500 winner. And I asked him on V8 Extra last weekend, why do this? And he candidly came back and said, I simply love car racing. I thought it was a very refreshing answer. Well, before the break, I teased the notion of there being some game-changing moves on out there on the racetrack at the moment. Let's have a look at a couple of them. Race number 14 on Saturday. What about this one? Down the inside for Jamie Whincup, an opportune passing moment when Mark Winterbottom ended up wide, rubbing the fence, trying to round up David Wall. Jamie Whincup always seems to find himself in the right place at the right time and surgically fires down the inside, and that track position was what ultimately gave him a race win on Saturday. And then again on the Sunday, great battle with his teammate Craig Lowndes, and can you believe it, Lowndesy down into turn 11 somehow finds the pit lane speed limiter. The car goes into its 40k limp mode. J-Dub is standing by there to pounce and fires down the inside and grabs him. Very impressive stuff, and those moves are the things that are going to change this championship outcome in December. Well, once again, Aaron Noonan went out and about at the end of the day's play for race number 14 and 15 to see what the boys had been up to. James Courtney qualified 6th on Sunday, said it felt like a pole position. The whole bunch of guys who had tales to tell, including David Reynolds, who had his first career pole.
David pole, but again, in that finishing position where you always seem to be, frustrated?
Yeah, it kind of is, but we tuned the race car up heaps. Like yesterday, my arms wore out from too much oversteer, so I told the boys to build me a faster rack, but they didn't. They just tuned it up, and my car was mega over the race, but, I'm still missing that 1%.
Is that frustrating you?
Yeah. Oh, it eats me, but I'll get there one day.
Michael P9, 2 Techno cars in the top 10, solid day.
Yeah, very solid day. I'm very happy with top 10. A few little problems. I hit a wall and got held up behind Jacques when he was on soft and I was on hard. But the team, how good's that? Top 10, and with everyone, all the top guys finishing, I think it's outstanding by all of us.
Well, this morning was quite good. Qualified 6th. That's I think that's a season highlight so far. So that was good. The race, the car just wasn't quick enough. We changed the setup from qualifying and it just wasn't right. It's the whole way through the race I was struggling, and it just chewed out the tyres. So it was a little bit disappointing to finish the day like that, considering we started 6th position. But you live and learn, so we'll come back and fight again next time.
Michael, I know you and Lee Holdsworth are close, but not that close. That didn't go right today.
No, I don't believe in luck anymore. I think it's been a tough old year and a tough weekend. And look, I know Lee obviously got hit from behind, and which pointed him into my car and ended our day. So not much you can do.
It was chaos out there. Turn 1, I went down the inside, got quite a good start, but then it was like a car park down there, and then the same thing into turn 3. Braked hard. Everyone sort of stopped in front of me, and I collected the back of Slady. And someone nailed me pretty hard and turned me sideways and into Caruso. So, it's disappointing, but the boys did a fantastic job to actually get the car back out there after the damage we got and salvage some points. So, you have these rounds. We'll come back fighting harder and better at Queensland Raceway.
There's certainly always tales to tell in the V8 supercar paddock. Stay with us on Extra. When we come back, we cut Larko loose in the engine room. On board there with Jamie Whincup, race number 15, started qualified 9th. That was part of his big recovery, which ultimately led to a win. Time now for Big Pond Sport email, and you can see the question there from Greg Jones. Wants to know how many Ks you get out of a V8 race engine and just exactly how are those engines serviced. Mark Larkham's the man with all the answers.
Here we are today in KRE Race Engines, who are responsible for looking after engine programs of 4 teams that run in V8 supercars. Now, what I want to talk today about is engine servicing. We've talked plenty about engine building, and we know that can cost $120,000 per unit. Now, engine servicing is a little different. You get about 3,000 kilometres out of your unit in between services, serious services, and that'll cost you up to $15,000. Right, so the first thing is the trucks will back up here and unload in these beautiful transport cases. So once an engine's unpacked, straight down here to the back of the shop to what is the engine disassembly room. Looks pretty slick just for a disassembly area. And then all the key components taken outside into what is in fact a slick cleaning area where everything is washed up, pristine clean, ready to be worked on. First cab off the rank, it comes down here to the Sunnon vertical honing machine. Now, there's a couple of things happen. First of all, we would have honed or cleaned up our lifter bores, these brass items here. But what we're doing here, very sophisticated piece of equipment, is very accurately honing or putting some nice scratch marks in the bore so the piston rings, the fresh piston rings, mate very nicely to the bore to create that compression that we're looking for. Doesn't look sophisticated, but let me tell you, very much is. Now, cylinder heads. The very first thing we do with them is put them on this machine here, which is a cylinder head facing machine, which makes sure that cylinder head to cylinder block face is absolutely flat and maintains that all-important 10:1 compression ratio. From there, over onto another sophisticated bit of machinery. Here's the cylinder head on here. This is a seat cutting machine. And what this does, if I can just sneak around here behind you, here's a valve. This is the seat of a valve, this part around its edge. And it is so critical for high performance that is fine and narrow and accurate and seats beautifully in and out of there. Okay? Those two mating faces, absolutely critical. Now, just on that, these are our set of valves, inlet and exhaust valves. They'll go about 6,000 kilometres if you don't have any dramas. Valve springs, however, we'll replace them at every service, every 3,000 K, a full set of those. So that all happens. Now, around here we've got a valve cutting machine. So we just saw how it works on the cylinder head. This machine cuts the valves. I mean, there's so much machinery here, it's unbelievable. Round here, remembering if we replace our pistons, because we've been running them lean, we then need to rebalance our crankshaft. So over here, we've got a crankshaft balancing machine. So now, once all that's done, we need to think about assembly, reassembling the engine. So let's go and have a look at the reassembly room. The block, fresh, prepared, honed, ready to go, is wheeled in here on a nice stand. New bearings. Okay, cylinder head, we didn't say before, rockers, they're gone every 3,000 kilometres. The lifters, every 6,000 kilometres are gone. Conrads, they'll be crack tested, new bearings go in. Pistons replaced as needed, as said. New piston rings every time the engine comes apart. The camshaft is checked and replaced as necessary. Crankshaft, obviously always tested, always crank tested, but you do get good mileage out of those. Water pump, disassembled and checked. Oil pump, disassembled and checked. New gasket, seals right through the engine before it's buttoned up for its final trip down the hallway with these beautiful components. Feel it, they weigh nothing. Handmade rocker covers and this beautiful handmade sump made on a mill. Absolutely stunning. And off down to the dyno cell. So every single engine, when it's finished assembled, is brought down here into the dyno cell, put on the dynamometer, which is in a condition the same as which it would be installed in the car. Its fuel economy is checked. The thing is run in. Its power performance, any development is checked. And so this is critical before it gets wrapped up, put in the truck or in the car for the next event. But most important of all, let's hear it sing. Pull that string, Kenny.
No wonder Larko is deaf. He just loves it in there. In fact, while we're talking about engines plugged, next month we're going to be back down at Kelly's to have a look at that new Nissan engine and the new configuration for that engine, so look out for that one. Take a break again now on V8 Extra. When we come back, we meet Taz Douglas. Stay with us.
Muppet, 10 questions in 60 seconds. The animal that best represents your personality.
My Beagle Cross Dachshund.
What would you spend your last dollar on?
Probably my race car.
Ultimate comfort food.
Ice cream.
Who do you most admire?
Craig Lowndes.
The first thing you do when you get home from a race meeting.
Usually watch the weekend. Depending on how badly we went, depends on how when I watch it though.
The best advice you've ever been given.
The harder you work, the more you get out of it.
Your favourite holiday destination.
Honolulu.
Who would you like to sit next to at a dinner party?
My girlfriend Leah.
What household chore do you avoid doing?
Just about all of them.
And if your racing career ended at the end of the season, what would you do?
Try and take over Cronko's job.
That's funny. I was thinking I might leap back into the gym and grab yours if the opportunity arises. Thanks, James. And also Rihanna Crean there. By the way, Rihanna is now a fully qualified nurse. So if you dig racing and you get sick, Rihanna is your girl. Now, we've been introducing some drivers to you through the course of the year on V8 Extra. Time now to catch up with Tas Douglas. He's done a great job this season. We've seen some fine outings. He drives for Lucas Dumbrell in the iSelect Holden Commodore. Let's meet Tas Douglas. Tas, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to V8 Extra.
Thanks a lot.
Now, you've stepped up from the development series and you now find yourself in the main game. Tell us what it's been like.
It's a huge step, laps that we do physically, mentally, and you know the guys in the main series obviously a lot faster. Sometimes I think I'm going fast, but I come in and I'm really not. So it is a huge step, but I am starting to cope.
You've come out of the junior categories of the sport and development series. Now you find yourself lining up and looking left and right in the car and seeing big names, a Tander, a Lowndes, a Whincup. What's it been like to race those guys?
It's pretty surreal. You know, last year I'd always watch the main series and just think, oh, they're doing that and they're doing that, but it's all right, they're main series, like they're really good, you know. So, but yeah, in Tasmania, for instance, you know, we qualified 8th and looked across and there was Lowndes and Tander was just in front, and it was very surreal. So it's a great feeling, but yeah, one that I'm definitely not used to yet.
So what's the hardest aspect of driving a V8 supercar for you?
Braking is probably the thing where I'm lacking at the moment, but the fact that these guys just do, it's like a qualifying lap every lap out there, and you really have to step up. There's no rest, and mistakes cost you. Little mistakes here and there, and you're way back. I found that out in New Zealand, where just didn't get the tyre pressures quite right, or I didn't get them up to temperature quite right. Probably dropped 3 or 4 tenths, and 26, you know what I mean? And yeah, you could have been sort of midfield. So that's probably the biggest thing, is mistakes cost you a lot.
And conversely, the flip side, what about the great moments?
They're the moments that keep you in the sport. I think keeps everybody around. You know, you have a lot of lows, but it's that high that keeps you coming back for more and more and more. And you know, it's a great feeling when the guys come over the radio and tell you what position you're in, when it's a great position, and you feel proud yourself and the whole team. You know, we're the drivers out there, and the drivers do get a lot of accolades, but we're a whole team, and I wouldn't be out there if it wasn't for the guys spending hours and hours and weeks in the workshop preparing the car. So it's good for everybody and team morale.
Have you scared yourself in one of these things yet?
Just about every time I hop in. Yeah, well, obviously Adelaide, 8 laps into my main series career, just smashed into the wall. That was a bit scary. And a few times at Hamilton as well. You know, obviously the street tracks with the walls, you can't push as much, and when you do have moments, you know it's going to be a big one. So just at the street tracks, I think.
Thanks for having a chat to us today, and good luck for the balance of the season. Thanks, Tas.
Thanks a lot.
Tas Douglas there. He's a great young bloke. We're going to see plenty more of him. In fact, you'll see him at our next event, the Coates Hire Ipswich 300, August 3 through 5, Queensland Raceway. We've got a couple of big races, race 16 and 17 of the championship. We're just about done, but our next V8 Extra next weekend, we're on the road once again, a workshop special. We'll be down at Brad Jones Racing to catch up with Brad. Larko will be with me as well, Jason Bright, Fabian Coulthard and David Wall. Hope to have your company then. Thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.